Dear students, in this video on electromagnetic waves, we will study the production and properties of EM waves, their uses and the concept of displacement current along with numerical problems. So let us begin with the idea of electromagnetic waves. So I have shown you three dimensions X, Y and Z. Now, electromagnetic waves consist of time varying electric and magnetic fields. So you can see that I have shown electric field in XY plane and magnetic field in XZ plane. And if you look at the variations, then electric field is varying like a sine wave and magnetic field is also varying like a sine wave, right? And they become maximum together. Look at the peak of this magnetic field and peak of electric field. So they attain their maxima together, they become zero together. That means they oscillate in same phase. So electromagnetic waves are basically oscillating electric and magnetic fields which are perpendicular to each other and they are also perpendicular to direction of propagation of wave. You can see that wave is propagating along x-axis, but oscillations of electric field are perpendicular to it. They are in along y-axis, and oscillations of magnetic field are also perpendicular to electric field. They are oscillating in along z-axis. So here EM waves propagate in space through time varying electric and magnetic fields, oscillating electric and magnetic fields, and EM waves are produced by accelerated charged particles. Now this is easy to understand. You know that any current carrying conductor of any shape or any size, it produces magnetic field around it, right? Now, if this current is varying current means the charges are accelerating. Current is what? Rate of flow of charge, dq by dt. So, if the charge is accelerating, the magnetic field around it, around the conductor, will be changing magnetic field. And this changing magnetic field, you know that when a magnetic field changes, magnetic flux changes and electric field is produced. Induced EMF is there. So the changing magnetic field produces changing electric field and they in turn produce changing magnetic field. So the varying electric field and magnetic field produce each other. And if we have an oscillating charge, now you know that a charge in oscillation is permanently accelerated. So this oscillating charge, it can be say positive or negative, whatever charge. This oscillating charge will produce oscillating electric field, which in turn will produce oscillating magnetic field, and they will keep on producing each other. So in this way, EM waves are produced and which propagate in space. Now let us look at the properties or characteristics of electromagnetic waves. Starting with the first one. EM waves propagate in vacuum with speed of light. So we have variety of EM waves starting from radio wave, visible light, microwave, infrared, ultraviolet, gamma rays, X-rays. They all propagate in vacuum with same speed and which is speed of light. Now, look at this. Variation in both electric and magnetic fields occurs simultaneously. Therefore, they attain their maxima and minima at the same time, and that means they oscillate in same phase. So electric and magnetic fields oscillate in same phase. Now electromagnetic waves are transverse waves. you have seen that the oscillations of electric field are perpendicular to direction of motion of wave, which happens in transverse wave, and same is the case with magnetic field. So electromagnetic waves are transverse waves. And now the direction of oscillation of electric and magnetic fields are perpendicular to each other and also perpendicular to direction of propagation of wave. I have just discussed this point. And now the relation between electric and magnetic fields. So the electric field vector E and magnetic field vector B are related with each other by this relation, where C is speed of light. So speed of light is E upon B or E naught upon B naught. So E naught and B naught are peak values of electric and magnetic field. Okay. And now some more properties. Waves do not require material medium to travel. They can travel through vacuum. And the velocity of EM wave in free space or vacuum is given by this relation. That is, C is 1 upon under root mu naught epsilon naught, which is equal to 3 into 10 raised to the power 8 meter per second. Now this mu naught is permeability of free space or vacuum, and E naught is permittivity of free space or vacuum. So you can see that we have included both electrical and magnetic properties of the material. Now, the velocity of EM wave in other material medium is given by this relation. See, the velocity is 1 upon under root mu epsilon naught. See, here we had used the properties of free space and here the properties of medium. So mu is permeability of medium, epsilon is permittivity of medium. This is also equal to 1 upon under root mu r epsilon r. Now mu r and epsilon r are relative permeability and relative permeability, and this is also equal to C upon n, velocity of light upon refractive index of the medium. And you are familiar with this relation, that velocity of light in a medium is C upon n, or refractive index of a medium is velocity of light in vacuum upon velocity of light in medium. So you get this relation also. And EM waves transport energy and momenta as they propagate through space. So electromagnetic waves carry energy and momenta. Now energy associated with EM wave is given by E is equal to mc square. You know the photon theory. And its momentum P is equal to mc, mass into velocity. And from here, this momentum P is energy U, which is mc square upon c, velocity of light. Now, the energy is equally divided between electric and magnetic fields. So you have just seen that EM waves consist of electric and magnetic fields, but the energy is equally divided between electric and magnetic fields. Next one, EM waves are neutral. Electromagnetic waves do not get deflected in electric and magnetic field. And the frequency of EM waves does not change when they travel from one medium to another. Like if light travels from air to water or any other medium, then its frequency will remain constant, but its velocity and wavelength will change. Very important point to remember. Now, some more. Electric vector of EM wave is responsible for optical effects all the optical phenomena. So therefore, this electric field is called light vector, or electric vector is called light vector. Now, when EM wave falls on a surface, it exerts pressure, and this pressure is called radiation pressure. For visible light, the radiation pressure is 7 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 Newton per meter square. So if you have any surface and if the light falls on it, then this light exerts pressure on the surface, and that is called radiation pressure. For visible light, the typical value is this one. Now, the direction of propagation of EM wave is given by this vector E cross B, so vector product of electric field and magnetic field. Now, general equation of EM wave propagating along x-axis. So here we are discussing general equation. So electric field. Now if we are considering the wave propagating along x-axis, then if you remember wave equation, then y is equal to a sine omega t. Again, y is equal to a sine omega t plus minus kx. Okay, here y is the direction of is the displacement, a is amplitude, omega is angular frequency, and this is kx. This x gives the direction of propagation of wave. So if the wave is propagating along x-axis, we will get this relation sine omega t plus minus kx. And since we are talking about electric field, then electric field, we will get amplitude of electric field here and displacement of electric vector. Now, the displacement is perpendicular to direction of propagation of wave. So let us assume that electric vector is along y-axis. So we get general relation for electric field vector along oscillating along y-axis as Ey is equal to E naught, that is the peak electric field, sine omega t plus minus kx. And if electric field is along y-axis, then magnetic field has to be along z-axis, and it is given by B naught sine omega t plus minus kx. Now you know that electric and magnetic fields, they both have same frequency. So the term of sine, or we can also have cos. Now these terms must be identical, and then only they will have same frequency and they will oscillate in same phase. So that's an important point to note. Now, inconsistency in Ampere's circuital law. See, Maxwell observed inconsistency in circuital law. If we consider a capacitor, parallel plate capacitor, and it is being charged with conduction current IC, and let us consider an Amperian loop outside the plates, and this is passing, the current IC is passing through it, and another Amperian loop between the plates of capacitor. So there is conduction current here and conduction current here also. It is being charged using some source, say a battery. Then we have current here, we have current here, but there is no current between the plates because there is empty space. Now we have chosen one Amperian loop C1, another C2. They both are parallel to this capacitor plate. Now outside at this point, if we apply Ampere's circuital law for this Amperian loop, then we will get, see, I'm showing it here. I'll just read out. Consider a capacitor being charged with conduction current IC, and consider two Amperian loops C1 and C2 parallel to capacitor plate. Now applying Ampere's circuital law in loop C1 here and C2. Now for C1, the enclosed current is IC, conduction current. So the equation becomes uh, total integral, line integral of magnetic field B dot dl is equal to mu naught IC. And for loop this one, there is no current enclosed by it. So for C2, B dot dl, integration of B dot dl will be mu naught into 0, and that is 0. Now, since these are imaginary loops, we can have them anywhere. So if we bring them very close to this plate, they can behave like two sides of the same surface. That means the magnetic field obtained by this equation due to C1 and magnetic field obtained by the second equation, which is due to loop C2, both the magnetic fields should be same. But that is not happening. For this equation, the magnetic field has finite value. From this equation, the value of magnetic field is 0. So that means there is inconsistency in this Ampere's circuital law. Some flaw is there, something is missing. So I'll just read out. When loops C1 and C2 are brought infinitely close to capacitor plates, they behave like two sides of same body. So these equations must be identical. That is, value of magnetic field obtained from both equations must be same. So there is inconsistency in Ampere's circuital law, and to resolve this problem, Maxwell introduced the idea of existence of displacement current between the plates of capacitor. So what Maxwell assumed that there must be some current between the plates of capacitor which is not seen by us, and he called it displacement current. And what he said, that this displacement current has to be equal to conduction current, and this displacement current will last as long as conduction current is there. And one more thing, if you look at this junction, then the current gets discontinuous. You have done junction rule of Kirchhoff's first loop. So at this point we have incoming current IC, but there is no outgoing current. And at this point we have outgoing current IC, but there is no incoming current. So when this displacement current is introduced, then this problem of continuity is also resolved. Now this displacement current is not seen, but it is assumed by Maxwell, right? So let's see what is the modified equation. So the modified equation, from here we get integration of B dot dl as mu naught, and in place of IC we have IC plus ID. Now outside the place this ID is 0, and between the place this IC is 0. So outside the plates there is no displacement current, only conduction current, and ID is equal to IC. Conduction current is always equal to IC, and between plates there is no conduction current. So this is modified equation, and now we will find out relation for displacement current. Okay. Now conduction current during charging, IC will be equal to dq by dt, rate of flow of charge. Now electric field between the plates of capacitor is given by sigma upon epsilon naught. Sigma is surface charge density, epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. Now surface charge density is charge per unit area, where A is plate area of the capacitor. From here just change the sides and you get Q, charge is equal to epsilon naught EA. And if you look at this EA, then this is electric field into area vector, and this is electric flux between the plates of capacitor. So I get epsilon naught phi E. Now displacement current will be dq by dt, right? See, if you think of the plate capacitor, then you're getting charge here and charge here, plus q minus q, and displacement current is flowing like this. So rate of change of this charge will also give you displacement current. So this displacement current is dq by dt, that is d by dt of epsilon naught phi e, and epsilon naught is constant. So this is equal to epsilon naught d phi e by dt. So d phi e by dt is rate of change of electric flux between the plates of capacitor. So we can say that displacement current is directly proportional to rate of change of electric flux between the plates of capacitor. That means the displacement current will last as long as electric flux is changing, and that will happen when the capacitor is being charged or discharged. So electric field or displacement current will appear between plates of capacitor only when it is being charged or it is being discharged. Once the capacitor is fully charged, then the current IC will become 0, conduction current will become 0, and displacement current ID will also become 0. So now let us discuss it further. You can see here conduction current. Electric field exists between the plates. This plate has plus charge, this plate has minus charge. So electric field exists between the plates of capacitor, and current is also from charge is flowing along this direction. So current exists along the direction of electric field, and electric field and area vector of plate are along the same direction. So till this electric field or electric flux changes, displacement current exists between the plates of capacitor. Now the modified equation now. So you can see that line integral of B dot dl is mu naught IC into the value of displacement current I epsilon naught d phi e by dt. And let us try to understand it now. See, IC is equal to ID all the time. Here, look at it. See, we have electric field here which is changing, and let us try to show electric field here. Electric field is perpendicular to plane of paper inwards. We have shown this in this figure. It is perpendicular to plane and inwards, and if it is so, you can see that if it is so, you can think of a plane here where electric field is inwards, current is moving inwards, right? So if the current is moving inwards and if you use your right hand rule, then this current will produce magnetic field along this circular concentric circular loops, and the direction of electric field will be tangential to these circular loops. You can use your right hand to check it. Now this magnetic field is perpendicular to electric field all the time. So direction of magnetic field is given by right hand rule, and electric field is perpendicular to magnetic field. So we can see that this changing electric field is producing magnetic field, changing magnetic field of course, and this is the process of production of EM wave. Now Maxwell modified all the equations. He unified electricity and magnetism and gave comprehensive equations. So first one, you have done this one. This is Gauss law in electricity. That is magnetic flux E dot dA is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Now the same Gauss law in magnetism becomes B dot dA is equal to 0. Now this Q is net charge enclosed inside a closed surface, right? But if we think of magnetic field or a magnetic dipole or a magnet, then a magnet will always have north pole and south pole, and magnetic monopoles do not exist. So net pole strength enclosed in any surface will always be 0. So from this relation only we can get B dot dA is equal to 0. Now let us come to Faraday's law. The Faraday's law in electricity you have done as induced EMF E is equal to minus d phi B by dt. Phi B is rate of change of magnetic flux, and this is induced EMF. EMF is voltage or potential difference, and this is given by E. You know this relation. You know the relation that V is equal to E dot dl. Sorry, dV is equal to E dot dl minus E dot dl. And the same relation we are getting here, right? And Ampere's Maxwell's law is this one I have just discussed. So these four are known as Maxwell's equations. And now electromagnetic spectrum. These are the properties, and before coming to properties, let us have a look at the spectrum. Okay. So we have chosen frequency on one side and wavelength on the other side. And if you start from longer wavelength to smaller wavelength and smaller frequency to larger frequency, then the sequence is radio waves. Now radio waves are longest waves which have wavelength of the range of few kilometers up to few centimeters. It can be up to 10 centimeter, few kilometers to 10 centimeters, and the frequency can range from few kilohertz to few megahertz. Mega is 10 raised to the power 6, right? Then after radio waves are further divided in many parts. Then after radio waves, as we move towards shorter waves, we get microwave, we'll get microwaves, and microwaves have a wavelength range extending from 1 millimeter to 10 centimeter, and the frequency extends from of the order of 1 gigahertz, which is 10 raised to the power 9 hertz, up to 1 terahertz, which is of the order of 10 raised to the power 12 hertz. So you get idea of microwave, its frequency range and wavelength range. Then comes infrared. After microwave, as we move towards shorter wavelengths, we will get infrared, right? And it is very easy to remember. You know that the wavelength range of visible light is from 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. 400 nanometer for violet, 700 nanometer for red. So infrared is just below visible light. So its wavelength range varies from 1 millimeter to 700 nanometer, right? And frequency range you can see here, it is the frequency of red light is of the order of 4 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz. So frequency of infrared is from 1 terahertz, which is 10 raised to the power 12 hertz, to 4 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz. Now for visible light, I have just discussed, this is 400 nanometer, this is 700 nanometer. Easy to remember, this is 4 and here 4 comes for red. 4 for violet, 4 for red. This is 7 for red and 7 for violet. The powers here are 10 raised to the power 14 hertz, of course. So you can just crisscross. And so visible light has frequency range 4 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz to 7 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz, and wavelength range 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. Now ultraviolets lie just above just above the violet light and on the shorter side. So ultraviolet rays are shorter than visible light, and the frequency range, wavelength range, so this was 400 nanometer, it goes up to 1 nanometer. So 1 to 400 nanometer, and frequency range varies from 7 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz to up to 10 raised to the power 17 hertz, as you can see. And you see these wavelength ranges, they coincide, they overlap with each other. You can see that ultraviolet rays is overlapping X-rays. X-rays are overlapping gamma rays. So there is no clear-cut boundary. So let us talk about X-rays. Now X-rays vary from 1 nanometer to 10 raised to the power minus 3 nanometer. So that is your picometer. So I can say that 1 nanometer to 1 picometer. That will be easy to remember. And frequency range 10 raised to the power 17 hertz to up to 10 raised to the power 20 hertz. Then after gamma rays, we have, after X-rays we have gamma rays, and you can see the overlapping. Now the range varies from 1 angstrom to up to 10 raised to the power minus 4 angstrom. And frequency range is something like 10 raised to the power 18 hertz to up to 10 raised to the power 22 hertz. So there is no clear-cut demarcation. But you must have general idea of frequency range and wavelength range, and these are easier way to remember, right? Like for gamma ray X-rays, you can say that 1 nanometer to 1 picometer. These are not fixed but somewhat. And for visible range, visible range, that you have to remember, you always remember that. So अल्ट्रावायलेट के लिए विजिबल रेंज वाली एक लाइन हमको पता है, दूसरी लाइन इसकी 1 नैनोमीटर पर आ गई. इंफ्रारेड के लिए हमको रेड का पता है, नीचे वाला हमने कर लिया 1 मिलीमीटर. एंड माइक्रोवेव 1 मिलीमीटर टू 10 सेंटीमीटर. So in this way, the sequence must be very clear to you. In examination, you are given these waves and you have to arrange them in ascending order of wavelength or ascending or descending order of frequency. The sequence is very important. And now let us come to the very important part of this spectrum. Now, we are familiar with visible light, and we know that visible white light consists of 7 colors, VIBGYOR. So here the violet light has frequency, wavelength range wavelength of about 400 nanometer. Now these are also about values, average values. Their values vary. So violet can vary from 450 nanometer to up to 380 nanometer, though we are taking 400 nanometer. Similarly, the blue color can vary from 450 nanometer to 500 nanometer, or indigo also lies somewhere between them. Then the green varies from 500 nanometer to 550 nanometer. Yellow varies from 550 to 600 nanometer. Orange varies from 600 to 650 nanometer. Red varies from 650 to 700 nanometer. Now here also we cannot have clear-cut boundaries. And you can see that WebGeor, violet, indigo I am not shown. Indigo lies somewhere between them, difficult to identify. So violet, blue, green, orange, green, yellow, orange and red. This is continuous spectrum. The visible light is continuous spectrum. Just for the sake of simplicity, we have shown these separate colors, right? So even red has different frequency range. So it is say up to 780 nanometer. So it has got a large range of frequencies. So now let us look at their properties now, one by one. Done the spectrum, it is easier to do these comparison now. So let us start with radio waves, which are the longest waves, and the wavelength range varies from a few kilometer to up to 30 centimeter, 0.3 meter. And the frequency range varies from about 500 kilohertz to 1000 megahertz. And now they are produced by rapid acceleration or deceleration of electrons in aerials. See, all TV transmission and radio transmission is done using radio waves, and all these instruments, whether it is your radio set or television set or even mobile set, they all have aerials, antenna, and they receive and transmit radio waves. So they are used in radio and TV broadcasting. Now let us come to microwaves. Now microwaves, their frequency range varies from nearly 1 millimeter to 10 centimeter, but they can be taken up to 30 centimeter also. The frequency range is from about 1 gigahertz to 3 into 10 raised to the power 11 hertz. So it varies from nearly 1 gigahertz to 1 picohertz, terahertz. And they are also produced by oscillating electronic circuits. And we have microwave ovens, which consist of a magnetron or klystron. So microwaves are used in radar, and they are used in to study atomic and molecular structure, and in microwave ovens for the sake of cooking. Then comes infrared waves. Now infrared waves vary from 1 millimeter to 700 nanometer. The frequency range is 3 into 10 raised to the power 11 hertz to up to 4 into 10 to the power 14 hertz. They are produced by vibration of molecules and hot bodies. See, infrared waves are the waves which gives us the feeling of warmth or heat. So they are used in treatment of muscular pain, medical use हो गया. They are used in night vision devices. Now, some more. Let us talk about visible light here. Visible light. The frequency range is, the wavelength range is 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. The frequency range is 4 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz to 7 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz. They are produced by transition of valence electrons from higher energy level to lower energy level. So, when electrons come down to lower energy level from higher energy level, this energy difference is emitted as visible light. They are used in optical instruments, optics, vision. We can see only visible light, and in photography. Now, ultraviolet rays. Now, ultraviolet rays are smaller in size than visible light, and the wavelength range is 400 nanometer to 1 nanometer. Frequency range is 7 into 10 raised to the power 14 hertz to 3 into 10 raised to the power 17 hertz. They are produced by UV rays are produced by transition of inner shell electrons from higher energy level to lower energy level. See, if I am talking about inner shell electrons, so this is your nucleus, and then we have many shells, right? So if this electron from this higher energy level transmits to lower energy level, then in ultraviolet rays are produced. And you know that valence shell are the outermost shell. So the outermost shell are responsible for visible light, and these inner shell electrons are responsible for UV rays. Now they are used in medical application like your LASIK surgery of eyes. They are used for sterilization of medical instruments. They are used for killing germs in foodstuff, detection of invisible writing, forgery, and all that. There are multiple uses. Now let us talk about X-rays. Now X-rays have wavelength range of 1 nanometer to 1 picometer. The wavelength range is 3 into 10 raised to the power 7, frequency range 3 into 10 raised to the power 17 hertz to 3 into 10 raised to the power 20 hertz. They are produced by inner or more tightly bound electrons in atoms, and they are produced in X-ray tubes. So X-rays, they are used in X-ray photography, they are used in cancer treatment, skin diseases, tumor, location of cracks and flaws in finished metallic objects, and they are also used in study of crystal structure. Now gamma rays. Now here the wavelength range is 1 angstrom to 10 raised to the power minus 4 angstrom. The frequency range is 3 into 10 raised to the power 18 hertz to 3 into 10 raised to the power 22 hertz. Now they are produced by radioactive decay of nucleus. So gamma rays are emitted by the nucleus, and they give information about structure of nucleus. They are used in medical field for surgery, using gamma knife for bloodless surgery, and astronomical research, of course. And here is the electromagnetic spectrum we just discussed, and let us look at one numerical from your NCERT book only. And you do get such numericals in your board exam. So suppose the electric field part of EM wave in vacuum is given by E is equal to 3.1 Newton per Coulomb cos 1.8 radian per meter Y plus 5.4 into 10 raised to the power 6 radian per second I cap. Now this I cap shows that electric field is along x-axis, and inside this cosine we are getting this y. That means the wave is propagating along y-axis, and we can compare this equation with standard equation. So what we have to find out? We have to find out direction of propagation of wave. From here you can see it is along y-axis. What is the wavelength? What is the frequency? What is the amplitude and magnitude, amplitude of magnetic field, and Write an expression for magnetic field part of the wave. So we'll pick up. Wave is propagating along y-axis as I've just discussed. See? And now we are writing general equation of electric field which is oscillating along y-axis and wave is propagating along y-axis, or electric field is along x-axis. Now here compare this relation with this relation, you will get omega t, and if you look at this relation then you are getting omega t as 5.4 into 10 to the power 6. So you can see that k is equal to, okay, let us look at this part first, ky. So here if you look at this one, then your k is equal to this term k is equal to 2 pi by lambda, that is known to you, and this k is equal to 1.8 radian per meter. So that means 2 pi by lambda is equal to 1.8 radian per meter, and just change the sides and lambda will be equal to 2 pi upon 1.8, that is 3.5 meter. So the wavelength comes out to be 3.5 meter. And for frequency, see omega, if you compare this term, then omega t is equal to 5.4 into 10 to the power 6 t. So the value of omega is also equal to 2 pi nu, which is equal to 5.4 into 10 to the power 6, and just change the sides and simplify, you get 8.6 into 10 raised to the power 5 hertz. And now the amplitude of magnetic field will be E naught upon C, and from this equation, look at it, the peak value of electric field is 3.1 Newton per Coulomb. So putting the value of E naught and C is speed of light, you get 1.03 into 10 raised to the power minus 8 Tesla. Remember, it is magnetic field. And now part E. Now, since the wave is propagating along y-axis and electric field is along x-axis, then magnetic field will be along z-axis. All three are mutually perpendicular. So Bz is equal to B naught from here cos. Now we will just copy this part. Look at it. Only this will change and this part will be copied as such without any change because they are in same state of vibration all the time. So just copy the things inside, the cos of all this, and since it is along z-axis, you get k cap, Tesla. So you do get such numerical problems in examination also. Thank you for watching.